Hello, beautiful people. So today I would like to talk about the Supremes. Um, they were like a legendary group in the 60s. They were black girls from the Detroit, Michigan Brewster Projects. They believed in a dream. They were singers. They kept on singing. They kept on singing until they got a yes. And I think it's very important for people to know about them, especially black women and little girls, because they really showed you that you could do anything. Like they came up in a time where blacks couldn't do a lot of things; they were limited. And these girls got on TV and they presented class, style, grace, and poise. You know, you didn't really see black women on TV like that. It wasn't as common, and they had 12 consecutive number ones. Baby Love, Where Did I Love Go? Stop in the Name of Love. They were invincible in the 1960s. They took the world by storm, and they were amazing. I mean, they really were the blueprints. Okay, so I would like to speak on what I think caused division in the Supremes. So, as some people don't know, Florence was the one who was singing lead at first, but they noticed they couldn't get hits for years. So, somebody recommended Diana to start singing lead, and that's when the airplay came. That's when the attention came to them, right? I don't think any of them had a problem like that. Mary or Florence had a problem with it because they was getting famous, they was getting known, they were getting gigs, they were singing, so like nobody had a problem with it. But I feel like one of the main factors was Berry Gordy's fixation on Diana Ross. It got to a point where the interviewers were told not to even talk to Florence or Mary, all go to Diana. You know, Diana started having different dressing rooms in them. Like he was so like he wanted Diana to be the star. And of course Diana wanted to be the star too. And then they were in a relationship. So like at first, even in the relationship, it was fun for the other girls because they knew, since Diana was this girl that they were gonna get the best clothes, the gowns, the best wigs, everything. But then I think as the relationship progressed, they just went to the back. Things became complicated. Like Flo wasn't really for all of that, the division. I think she missed her sisters. I think she missed her friends, the girls she grew up with. I think a lot of things just became too much for her. I think the fame, being away from her family was becoming too much. I think she missed her family. Um, dealing with Berry Gordy, they were two strong-willed people. Berry Gordy the boss, follow the leader, the big boss, call the shots. And I think she was the strong-willed one out of the group. Like she spoke her mind, and her and Berry Gordy clashed a lot over different things. Certain things she just wasn't going for. I feel like Diana wanted to be a star for all means. So, and she looked up to Berry Gordy, and I feel like Mary Wilson, she was the peacemaker. I think she just was happy to be singing and dancing with her friends. She just was. I mean, she was upset about certain things, but it's like she was just kind of keeping quiet and just being happy to be singing and dancing with her friends. And I think Flo was just not going for certain things. And, I think it just became too much for her. The pressure of fame, all of it just became way too much. And I think Flo felt like she had to minimize herself. Because, to be honest, Flo had the strongest voice in the group. She was the Etta James. And they would advise her that she needed to step away from the mic because her voice was so loud and strong when they would record and stuff like that. And, I just feel like a person like Florence, if you're that, you got a voice like that, you don't need to be background for nobody. You need to be having your own thing going on. And a lot of people didn't know about Florence is that she was essayed a couple of years before they took off, and she never really dealt with it. She never really, she was told to sweep it under the rug because back in those days they didn't know about therapy and all this stuff, and they were taught to sweep a lot of things under the rug. And I don't think she ever really dealt with that. And I think that really that always followed her in the fact that all the pressure going on, and you know you're seeming like you're a threat to certain people. And I think it became too much to her. I mean, they said that she turned to alcohol. She started drinking a lot, and she started gaining more weight, and that she would show up drunk to concerts and stuff like that. I think it became a lot of pressure. I think everybody was I think everybody was under a lot of pressure. You had Berry Gordy, black man, have a big record company, you know, producing, promoting black talents and even white talents too. And, you know, back then there weren't black men doing things like that or had access to stuff like that. You have Diana Ross, who's the lead singer, you know, everything is on her, you know, can't mess up, gotta be on your P's and Q's. This lady had ended up having a you know, it was so much pressure for her that she ended up having an eating disorder, and she would break out in hives before they would perform, right? Then you have Mary Wilson trying to keep the peace with everybody. She don't, you know, they're living in her head, they're all living a dream. Three friends living a dream, and she don't want it to end. Then you have Florence Ballard, who just looked like she just had enough. You know, the fame is just becoming too much for her. It's just I guess maybe it wasn't what she thought it was. So it's like it was, you know, it was a lot of pressure for everybody. I think regardless, Flo is going to end up leaving the Supremes at some point. You know, I think Flo could have played her cards right. If you know if you know that certain people around you don't really want you around anymore, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's your time to be 2 steps ahead of the game and to look out for yourself so you don't get stabbed in the back. I'm just saying. You know, eventually she was replaced by Cindy Birdsong and you know, Diana Ross ended up leaving to become a solo star in the 1970s. And Mary said it's like when Diana and Flo left, it's like her dream was just, it was over. Because in her dream, there were 3 girls that, you know, were living the dream, black American princesses. So, you know, it was a lot going on. It was a lot going on. And I think I'm going to do a separate one on Florence. So, but anyways, despite of all of that, they still will remain the best-selling girl group of all time. They inspire so many women of different generations. I mean, TLC, En Vogue, the Pointer Sisters, Destiny Child, like so many, and you can tell like so many people have tried to mimic them and recreate them. And what I like about them as well is like they have their own little personality, like Diana, the star, you know, the bougie one, Flo, the fierce one, take no mess. And you got Mary, the one with the little twinkle in her eye. Like they all brought something unique to the group, and it'll never be duplicated. They just the blueprint. That's all. That's it. Period.